Have you ever found yourself wondering why, as you get older, certain relationships and obligations no longer feel worth the energy? At 65, I've discovered some profound truths about life, relationships, and time that completely changed how I approach my daily existence. In this video, I'll share with you the valuable lessons I've learned from letting go of toxic connections, embracing solitude, and simplifying my life. These insights have not only brought me peace, but also a deep sense of fulfillment that I never thought was possible. Stick around to the end, because I'll dive into why protecting your time and energy is crucial as you age, and how choosing the right relationships can dramatically improve your quality of life. You'll learn why solitude isn't something to fear, but to embrace as a source of strength and clarity. Plus, I'll explain how to stop wasting your precious moments on things that don't matter and start focusing on what truly brings joy and meaning into your life. If you're tired of feeling drained by shallow connections or the pressure to meet everyone's expectations, this video is for you. Let's explore together how embracing these truths can help you live a more peaceful, intentional, and genuinely happy life. Don't miss out. This is the advice we all need to hear. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. Time becomes a sacred gift as the years pass, especially when you reach 65. Its value feels more profound, more irreplaceable than ever before. One undeniable truth reveals itself in this stage of life. Time is no longer infinite. In our youth, it seemed as if we had an endless ocean of days ahead. We wasted countless hours on trivial conversations, relationships that drained rather than fulfilled us, and obligations we accepted out of guilt or fear of saying no. But now, with each ticking moment, we realize just how priceless time truly is, and it's no longer something to squander. This awakening doesn't stem from fear or regret. It blossoms from hard-earned wisdom, the kind of clarity that only comes after decades of living. Time is no longer a number on a clock. It has become the essence of how I choose to live, the lens through which I see every decision, every interaction, and every moment. Every sunrise now feels like a masterpiece painted just for me. The golden hues touch my soul in a way they never did before. A heartfelt conversation with someone I cherish is no longer just a passing exchange. It's a deep connection, a gift to be savored. Even the quiet rituals of life, sipping coffee as the morning light filters through the window, or feeling the gentle breeze on a walk through the park, carry a significance I once overlooked. These moments aren't mundane. They're sacred. They remind me that life is composed of these tiny, fleeting pieces, and each one deserves to be cherished. But this understanding brings with it a profound realization. Not everything, and certainly not everyone, deserves a share of my precious time. This isn't selfishness. It's a survival skill. It's about choosing to invest in the things and people that truly matter. I've learned to pause and ask myself, does this bring me joy? Does this reflect my values? Does this interaction nurture me, or does it drain me? If the answer is no, I walk away, guilt-free, because every moment spent on something meaningless is a moment stolen from what truly enriches my life. This clarity has transformed the way I approach relationships. I no longer say yes to every invitation or endure shallow conversations out of politeness. Instead, I seek authenticity. I crave connections where I feel seen, valued, and understood, where time shared feels like an exchange of hearts, not just words. A deep, meaningful conversation over a quiet cup of tea is infinitely more fulfilling than a loud, crowded gathering where I feel invisible. By simplifying my relationships and focusing on those that uplift and inspire me, I'm not isolating myself. I'm honoring myself. I'm choosing to surround myself with people who respect my time as much as I do. Time, to me, has become a wise companion. It whispers to me to slow down, to savor the beauty of moments I once rushed through. It encourages me to choose my priorities with care because every decision carries weight. And it reminds me that letting go isn't a loss, it's a gain. Releasing what no longer serves me creates space for what truly matters: peace, purpose, and genuine connection. If you're finding yourself in this same place, know that you're not alone. There's no manual for how to navigate this stage of life, but here's what I've come to understand. Focus on what truly matters. Time isn't about how much of it you have left. It's about how you use it. Protect it fiercely. Spend it on people who lift your spirit, on experiences that bring you joy, and on moments that make you feel alive. Treat time as the treasure it is, and your life will transform into something extraordinary, something deeply meaningful. Because when you honor your time, you're honoring yourself, and that's the greatest gift you can give. Relationships change, and so do we. As the years unfold, we evolve in ways we often don't anticipate, and the bonds we hold dear can shift in response. At 65, I've come to a heart-wrenching but ultimately liberating realization. Not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime, and that's not a failure. It's simply the natural flow of life. When I was younger, I clung to the idea that relationships required constant vigilance, endless effort, and unwavering dedication. I never missed a birthday, went to every gathering, and reached out even when I was emotionally exhausted. I thought this self-sacrifice was the price of being a good friend, neighbor, or family member. But life, with all its joys and sorrows, taught me something profound. Not all relationships are equal. Some nourish your soul and make your heart sing, while others quietly drain your spirit until there's nothing left. This awakening wasn't swift or easy. It was forged in the fires of experience, some joyous and some deeply painful. I've been betrayed by those I trusted, abandoned by those I leaned on, and hurt by the silence of people I once called family. For years, I carried those losses like heavy stones in my heart, replaying moments of failure, asking myself over and over, what could I have done differently? Was I not enough? The weight of those questions was crushing. But slowly, piece by piece, I began to see things in a different light. People change. I have changed. And sometimes, the most loving and compassionate thing you can do for both yourself and the other person is to let go. One of the hardest yet most freeing lessons I've learned is that relationships should never be one-sided. A healthy relationship doesn't leave you feeling empty or questioning your worth. It thrives on mutual care, respect, and effort. Does this person celebrate your joys and comfort your sorrows, just as you do for them? Do they truly listen, or do they only wait for their turn to speak? Do they inspire you to grow, or do they weigh you down with negativity? These are the questions I've learned to ask myself as I navigate the intricate web of human connection. As I've grown older, my circle has naturally become smaller, but it has also become a sanctuary. The people who remain in my life are the ones who fill it with light, understanding, and love. They are the ones who see me for who I am, not for who I was or who they want me to be, and embrace me fully. That doesn't mean there aren't moments of wistfulness. I sometimes find myself reminiscing about friends I've lost touch with or family members who have drifted to different paths. But now, instead of regret, I feel gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons they taught me, the laughter we shared, and the memories that still warm my heart. They were vital chapters in the story of my life, even if their roles were no longer active. I no longer feel the need to cling to every thread of connection out of guilt or obligation. Relationships, like seasons, are meant to change. The winter of one bond may give way to the spring of another. So, here's my heartfelt advice to anyone who feels the ache of letting go. Don't confuse the end of a relationship with the end of its value. Not every bond is meant to last forever, but every meaningful connection leaves an imprint on your soul. Let go of the ones that no longer bring you peace or joy, and instead, nurture the relationships that align with who you are today. By doing so, you open yourself to the kind of love, authenticity, and depth that make life truly worth living. Letting go isn't a loss, it's an act of love, for yourself and for the beautiful, ever-changing journey you're on. Trust, it's such a simple word, yet it holds immeasurable weight. Over the years, I've come to realize that trust isn't something to be given lightly, nor is it something we can afford to take for granted. At 65, I understand that trust is like a masterpiece, carefully crafted over time, with every stroke requiring intention and care. But when that masterpiece is shattered, the pieces don't just fall. They scatter, leaving scars that may take a lifetime to heal. These scars remind us of the cost of misplaced trust and the lessons that come with it. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In my younger days, I trusted easily. I believed in people, their goodness, their sincerity, their promises. My heart was open, and my defenses were almost non-existent. I gave my time, my energy, and my loyalty without reservation. It was a beautiful way to live, but it was also naive. Back then, I didn't see the shadows in people, the complexity of their motives, or the weight of their choices. My openness brought me joy, yes, but it also left me vulnerable to heartbreak. I can still recall the moments that shook my trust to its core: a friend I cherished who betrayed my confidence for their gain, a family member whose selfish decisions created an unbridgeable gap, and a colleague who took credit for work we'd shared. Each betrayal left a mark, carving away at the unguarded trust one once offered so freely. These experiences didn't just teach me to caution. They reshaped the very fabric of how I view relationships. Trust, I've learned, is not a blanket you throw over everyone. It's a quilt, pieced together with intention. Now, when someone new enters my life, my first instinct isn't to embrace them wholeheartedly but to question their motives. What do they want from me? Can they be trusted with my time, my heart, my energy? It's a careful, deliberate way to live, born not out of bitterness but out of a desire to protect myself from further harm. Yet even as I tread cautiously, I've discovered that trust isn't just about others, it's about trusting myself. One of the greatest lessons I've learned in my 65 years is to trust my instincts. How often in the past did I dismiss a gut feeling, only to regret it later? Now, if something feels wrong, I listen. I've walked away from relationships that felt toxic, even when it was painful. I've chosen solitude over false companionship. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Protecting my peace and valuing my well-being are acts of self-love, and they're lessons I wish I'd learned earlier. And yet, despite the challenges, trust remains a possibility. Life has shown me that even in the most unexpected places, there are people who will surprise you with their kindness. A stranger who stops to help when your car breaks down, a neighbor who checks in during a storm, a friend who shows up without being asked. These moments remind me that trust, while fragile, is not impossible. The key is balance. It's about setting boundaries that protect you while still leaving room for connection. It's about giving trust slowly, like planting a seed and waiting to see if it grows. And when it does, the fruit is sweeter than you could ever imagine. If you find yourself more guarded with age, know that it's okay. Guarding your heart doesn't mean you're closing it off. It means you're honoring its worth. Trust, at this stage in life, becomes something sacred. It's no longer about how many people you let in. It's about who deserves a place in your inner circle. It's about choosing quality over quantity and surrounding yourself with people who are consistent, kind, and genuine. The changing world, a loss of genuine connection. At 65, I can't help but reflect on how much the world has changed. It's impossible not to notice the shifts, some exciting, some unsettling. Technology has transformed our lives, making everything faster, easier, and more connected, or so it seems. But for all its advancements, the world today feels colder and more detached, as if something essential has been left behind. I often find myself yearning for the simplicity of the past, when relationships felt deeper and more genuine. I grew up in a time when people made time for each other, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Neighbors weren't just the people who lived next door, they were friends, confidants, and extended family. We didn't need a reason to visit. We simply knocked on the door, knowing we'd be welcomed with a warm smile and a cup of coffee. Conversations were unhurried, filled with laughter, and often stretched late into the night. Families gathered regularly, not out of obligation but out of love. The bonds we shared felt unbreakable, built on a foundation of mutual care and respect. Today, life feels different. Relationships often seem transactional, reduced to fleeting interactions on social media or rushed phone calls. The warmth that once defined human connection has been replaced by the convenience of technology. We text instead of talk, scroll instead of share, and like instead of love. It's a strange paradox. We're more connected than ever, yet somehow more isolated. I miss the days when the connection wasn't something you scheduled, but something that happened naturally. I miss the simplicity of gathering around a table, sharing stories, and feeling truly seen and heard. Yet, amidst this longing, I find myself clinging to small acts of intentionality. I call a friend instead of texting. I send handwritten notes, knowing the personal touch will mean more than an email ever could. I make time for unhurried conversations, prioritizing depth over frequency. Adapting to this new world hasn't been easy, but it has taught me the importance of cherishing the connections that truly matter. I've learned to focus on the relationships that bring joy, comfort, and meaning to my life. It's not about how many people you know, but about how deeply you know them. And in a world that often feels detached, these connections become anchors, grounding us in what truly matters. A life reimagined. As I navigate this stage of life, I find myself reflecting not just on what I've lost, but on what I've gained. Trust, while more selective, feels more meaningful now. Relationships, though fewer, are richer. And the world, despite its changes, still holds moments of beauty and connection if you look for them. Life at 65 is not about holding on to the past, but about reimagining the future, carrying forward the lessons I've learned and the values I hold dear. In the end, trust and connection are not about quantity but about quality. They are about finding the people who see you, value you, and honor the person you've become. As I continue this journey, I hold on to the hope that even in an ever-changing world, these moments of genuine connection are the ones that will stand the test of time. Now, life feels so different, almost as though the world I once knew has slipped through my fingers. The simplicity, the unspoken intimacy of everyday moments, seems to have been replaced by a relentless race against time. People are consumed by the pursuit of success, juggling endless to-do lists, and trying desperately to keep up with the unyielding pace of modern life. Conversations that used to flow effortlessly, filled with depth and meaning, have now been reduced to brief, rushed exchanges, wedged into the cracks of busy schedules, often interrupted by the persistent ping of notifications. Even family time, once a sacred refuge of connection, feels strained. Physical distance, demanding careers, and the ever-present lure of technology have reshaped the dynamics of togetherness, leaving behind a sense of longing that's hard to shake. Technology, for all its benefits, has been both a blessing and a burden. I cherish the convenience it offers, the ability to see my grandchildren's faces through a video call or reconnect with an old friend with just a few clicks. These moments are precious, and I am grateful for them. Yet, there is a hollowness to this kind of connection, a subtle but undeniable barrier that screens create. No matter how advanced our devices become, they can never replicate the warmth of sitting across from someone, hearing their laughter unfiltered, or feeling their presence beside you. There's a depth to human interaction that no piece of technology can capture. Sometimes, I yearn for the ease of simply being with someone, without the constant interruptions of a buzzing phone or the weight of a world that demands our attention at every turn. The world feels louder now, almost deafening at times. The endless stream of notifications, breaking news, and social media updates creates a constant hum that fills the spaces where silence and stillness once lived. It's paradoxical, isn't it? We have countless ways to stay connected, yet so many of us feel more isolated than ever before. The connections we form often feel superficial, lacking the emotional resonance that true relationships bring. It's not about resisting change or clinging to the past. I understand that every era has its challenges, and every generation must find its way. But as I reflect on my life now, At 65, I find myself yearning for something simpler, something truer. I've come to value the quiet moments, the meaningful conversations, and the relationships that ground me. If you feel this way too, I want you to know that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to step back from the noise and chaos of modern life and choose a different path. This isn't about rejecting progress. It's about reclaiming what matters most. By slowing down, by being intentional with our time and energy, we can hold on to the parts of life that feel genuine. Seeking simplicity isn't about giving up. It's about holding on, fiercely and unapologetically, to the things that bring us joy, purpose, and connection. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is an ache, a hollow emptiness born from the longing for connection. Solitude, on the other hand, is a gift, a choice to step into a space of peace, reflection, and renewal. It's not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. Solitude has taught me clarity and perspective, gifts that are hard to come by in the frenetic rush of daily life. In those quiet moments, I've discovered a profound beauty in the simplest things. The feel of a warm cup of tea in my hands, the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, the golden glow of a sunset slowly fading into night. These moments aren't just ways to pass the time. They're reminders of life's quiet, enduring beauty. In solitude, I've found the space to reflect, not with regret or self-reproach, but with gratitude and acceptance. I've learned to look back on my life and focus not on the mistakes or missed opportunities, but on the lessons they taught me and the memories that bring a smile to my face. These reflections are a source of comfort, a reminder that every experience, whether joyful or painful, has shaped the person I've become. Solitude has also deepened my appreciation for the relationships in my life. It has helped me to let go of connections that felt obligatory or draining, and instead, nurture the ones that bring me true joy and fulfillment. When I spend time with loved ones now, I am fully present, savoring the moments we share and cherishing the bonds we've built. There's something transformative about stepping away from the rush and allowing yourself to simply be. It's a practice of protecting what's sacred in a world that often demands we scatter our attention. The act of slowing down, of seeking simplicity and authenticity, is a quiet rebellion against a culture that equates busyness with worth. It's a way of saying, I will not let the noise drown out what truly matters. And what truly matters? It's the relationships that make our hearts swell with love and gratitude. It's the quiet moments of reflection that ground us. It's the ability to find peace within ourselves and to recognize the beauty in the world around us, even in its smallest details. As I navigate this stage of life, I've come to understand that the most meaningful things are often the simplest. A heartfelt conversation, a shared laugh, a moment of stillness. These are the treasures that no amount of technology or progress can replace. So, I encourage you to embrace solitude, step back from the rush, and seek out the moments that make your heart feel full. It's not about rejecting the world we live in. It's about finding your place within it. A place where you can breathe deeply, live authentically, and hold on to the things that truly matter. Because in the end, it's the quiet joys, the meaningful connections, and the peace within ourselves that make life truly beautiful. Solitude has become one of the most transformative gifts of my life, offering me lessons that no other experience could. It has taught me to look inward and to find value and meaning in the quiet spaces within myself. In a society that often glorifies busyness and measures worth by the number of connections we have or how crowded our calendars are, it's easy to lose sight of who we truly are. We begin to believe that our significance is tied to how many people want to spend time with us, how many invitations we receive, or how often our phones buzz with notifications. But the truth, the liberating and often overlooked truth, is that our value doesn't come from others. It comes from a much deeper place, one that only solitude can help you uncover. If you've ever felt that gnawing fear of being alone, the worry that silence equates to emptiness, I urge you to rethink that perspective. Solitude isn't a punishment or a curse. It's a blessing, a sacred opportunity to step away from the noise of the world and hear the whisper of your soul. It's a chance to peel back the layers of distraction and rediscover what truly matters to you. Not to your peers, your colleagues, or even your loved ones, but to you. In those moments of stillness, when the external world fades away, you begin to recognize the incredible strength and clarity that lie dormant within you. Solitude invites you to reconnect with yourself on the deepest level, to ask questions you may have been too busy or too afraid to confront. Who am I? What do I want from this life? What brings me peace? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The beauty of solitude is that it allows you to let go of the pressures to perform, to conform, or to constantly give of yourself. Instead, it grants you the space to focus on creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. In solitude, you can find balance. You can find joy. You can find freedom. And perhaps most importantly, you can find yourself. This isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about living with intention. It's about choosing to fill your life with what truly matters, instead of what others tell you should matter. In the quiet of solitude, you may discover a profound sense of fulfillment, deeper and more lasting than anything external validation could ever provide. Why do I avoid people now? This is a question I've had to answer for myself time and again. For me, avoiding people isn't about harboring bitterness or resentment. It's about reclaiming my peace and protecting the sanctuary of my mind and heart. It's a boundary I never knew I needed, but one that has become essential to my happiness and well-being. Over the years, I've learned a difficult yet invaluable lesson. Not every connection is worth maintaining, and not every relationship deserves your time, energy, or love. For much of my younger life, I was the epitome of availability. I prided myself on being a dependable friend, a helpful neighbor, and an unwavering family member. I wanted to be the one others could count on, the person who would drop everything to lend a hand or a listening ear. For a while, this brought me joy. It felt good to be needed, to be useful. But over time, something began to shift. I started to notice the imbalance in many of my relationships. I gave and gave, but so often, the giving wasn't mutual. I poured myself into connections that left me drained and situations that didn't align with my values. My time, my energy, my kindness, they were taken for granted. And yet, I stayed. I stayed because I believed that loyalty meant enduring and that being a good person meant always saying yes, even when it hurt. It took years, decades even, but life has a way of teaching you where to draw the line. I experienced moments where my kindness was met with entitlement, where my generosity was exploited, and where my time was treated as though it held no value. I ignored the red flags because I didn't want to seem selfish or unkind. I told myself that it was my duty to be there for others, even when it came at the expense of my happiness. But slowly, painfully, I began to understand that saying no isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. It's a way of protecting your peace, your energy, your heart. Now, I choose to avoid people not out of anger, but out of love for myself and for the life I want to create. I've traded the noise and chaos of constant social obligations for the quiet joy of meaningful solitude. Instead of stretching myself thin to please everyone, I've focused on cultivating a smaller, deeper circle of relationships, connections that are rooted in mutual respect and genuine care. The people who remain in my life are those who bring light, positivity, and understanding. They don't demand more than I can give, and they don't take without giving in return. These relationships feel effortless in the best way. There's no drama, no manipulation, no competition. Just pure, honest connection. At the same time, I've learned to step away from those who drain my energy. I no longer make room for people who thrive on drama, who constantly complain, or who never take the time to ask how I'm doing. Their negativity has no place in my life, and letting go of those relationships has been one of the most liberating choices I've ever made. Avoiding people isn't about shutting myself off from the world. It's about being intentional with the company I keep. It's about choosing relationships that uplift and inspire, rather than those that weigh me down. I've come to see solitude not as a retreat, but as a revolution. It's a way of reclaiming my time, my energy, and my joy. It's about living with intention and purpose, surrounding myself only with what and who truly matters. Life is too short to waste on things that don't bring genuine happiness. By embracing solitude and setting boundaries, I've found a freedom I never thought possible. A freedom to live authentically, protect my peace, and prioritize my well-being. In this space of stillness and reflection, I've discovered a profound sense of joy and fulfillment. Solitude has allowed me to reconnect with myself, hear my thoughts, and focus on the life I want to create. It's shown me that the most important relationship I will ever have is the one I have with myself. And that relationship, I've learned, deserves to be nurtured, cherished, and protected at all costs. Is this a familiar feeling? Have you ever caught yourself whispering into the silence, "Am I the only one who feels this way?" As the years have passed, I've asked myself that question countless times, especially in moments when I find myself pulling back from the noise of life, becoming more intentional about the people and energy I allow into my world. At first, I thought this was my private evolution, a shift happening quietly within me, unique to my journey. But as I've opened up to others, shared my thoughts, and listened to their stories, I've realized something profound. This isn't just my story, it's our story. It's a shared experience that we come to understand only after we've weathered the storms of life, navigated its complexities, and emerged with a deeper appreciation for what truly matters. Life has a way of teaching us in ways we don't expect. Its lessons come in whispers, in trials, and sometimes in heartbreak. For years, decades, even, I wore every hat and filled every role I thought was expected of me. I wanted to be everything to everyone. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the ever-present family member, the selfless neighbor, and the person who always showed up, no matter what. I gave and gave, hoping to be seen, to be valued, to feel like I was enough. But as the years stretched on, I began to notice something unsettling. I was exhausted. I wasn't just physically tired, I was emotionally depleted, spiritually drained, and quietly losing pieces of myself. I had spent so much time pouring into the lives of others, striving to meet their needs, that I had nothing left for myself. It was as if my well had run dry, and yet, I kept trying to draw water from it, thinking that was what I was supposed to do. Then, one day I paused. I sat with the silence, the stillness, and asked myself the question I had been avoiding. What about me? What do I need? It was a startling realization that I had spent so much time nurturing others that I had neglected to nurture myself. As I began slowly, cautiously step back, I discovered a truth that changed everything. Life isn't about how many people you please, how many roles you fill, or how many expectations you meet. It's about living authentically, honoring yourself, and finding the courage to choose what truly matters. This wasn't an easy lesson to learn, and it's one I continue to navigate every day. Saying no to people who once relied on you, pulling away from relationships that no longer serve you, it feels like letting go of parts of yourself. It feels selfish, even cruel, to set boundaries where none existed before. But what I've come to understand is this: it's not selfish, it's survival. It's self-preservation. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and the harder you try, the more it drains you. By stepping back, by saying no, by choosing yourself, you create space. Space for healing, for peace, and for relationships that nourish you rather than deplete you. As I began to share these thoughts with others, I was amazed at how many people felt the same way. Friends, peers, and even acquaintances echoed the same sentiments. I've felt this too. Turns out that this shift, this longing for simplicity, for authenticity, for deeper connections, is a natural part of growing older. The superficial relationships that might have seemed so important in our younger years lose their shine. We start craving something real. Conversations that go beyond small talk, laughter that feels like medicine for the soul, and bonds that remind us of our worth. This transformation, while liberating, is far from easy. It means letting go of relationships, habits, and expectations that no longer align with who we are. It means confronting the fear of being misunderstood, of being seen as selfish or cold. And yet, it's through this process of release that we find freedom. We learn that saying no to what doesn't serve us is saying yes to ourselves, to our well-being, our happiness, and our peace of mind. And here's the most comforting part: you are not alone in this. Across the world, countless people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond are making these same choices. They are learning to prioritize themselves in a way they never have before. It's not about pushing people away. It's about drawing closer to what matters. It's about creating a life that feels peaceful, meaningful, and authentic. If you've noticed yourself retreating from relationships that no longer feel fulfilling, or if you've started to set boundaries where there were none before, take heart. This isn't a sign of loss, it's a sign of growth. It's a sign that you are learning to honor your time, your energy, and your heart. It's a sign that you are evolving, stepping into a stage of life where you value quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and authenticity over appearances. This stage of life isn't about numbers. It's not about how many people surround you, how many obligations you meet, or how many events you attend. It's about the depth of your connections, the joy of your experiences, and the peace of your spirit. It's about finding those rare relationships that feel like sunshine on a cold day. The ones that ignite laughter, spark joy, and remind you of the beauty of being seen and loved for exactly who you are. So if this resonates with you, know that you are not alone. You are part of a growing movement of souls who are choosing to let go of what no longer serves them, so they can make room for what does. Together, we are learning how to embrace lives that are simpler, more fulfilling, and unapologetically authentic. We are learning how to honor ourselves, value our time and energy, and create space for the relationships and experiences that truly matter. And in doing so, we are discovering a profound truth: the best is yet to come. Stepping into this chapter of life feels like waking up to the soft glow of dawn after a long and tumultuous night. It's not about endings. It's about beginnings. Beautiful, profound, and transformative beginnings that quietly call us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. Life has taught me that every chapter, no matter how challenging or bittersweet, carries its lessons, hardships, and joys. At 65, I have found a serene truth. This stage of life isn't about proving myself to anyone. It's not about striving to meet endless expectations or chasing fleeting validations. Instead, it's about rediscovering the person I've become through years of laughter, heartbreak, growth, and resilience. It's about gently letting go of what no longer serves me, outdated beliefs, unnecessary obligations, and the weight of others' opinions, and choosing, with quiet determination, to focus on what truly matters. There's a certain freedom in this realization, a freedom so vast and liberating it feels almost overwhelming at first. When we're young, we live with urgency, always running toward some imagined finish line. We fill our days with busyness, trying to achieve more, accumulate more, and become more, all while believing that fulfillment lies just over the next horizon. Our calendars are crowded, our minds restless, and our hearts, though ambitious, are often tethered to future dreams. But as the years pass, a quiet wisdom begins to emerge. Slowly, we start to understand that fulfillment doesn't live in tomorrow. It exists in the here and now. This chapter of life is an invitation to embrace simplicity. It's about finding unparalleled joy in the little things that once seemed inconsequential. The golden sunlight streaming through the curtains at dawn, the earthy aroma of coffee brewing in the kitchen, the laughter of a grandchild, or the peaceful solitude of an afternoon spent with a favorite book. These moments, often overshadowed by the chaos of younger years, now shine with a kind of sacred beauty. They are not just small joys. They are profound reminders of life's richness, depth, and quiet magic. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It is also a time for deep reflection, a chance to pause and gaze back over the winding path of my life. Looking back, I see my life as a vast and colorful tapestry, each thread a unique story. Some are bright and golden, celebrating triumphs and joy, while others are dark and heavy, woven for moments of pain and loss. Yet together, they create something beautiful, something whole. Every triumph I achieved, every mistake I made, every heartbreak I endured, each one has shaped me, refined me, and made me into the person I am today. Reflection allows me to honor these experiences without being consumed by them. It's not about living in the past. It's about finding gratitude for the lessons it has taught me. And yet, this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's also about looking forward with quiet excitement and a renewed sense of curiosity. There is still so much to discover, so much to create, and so much to savor. Whether it's trying my hand at a new hobby, planting a garden and watching it bloom, traveling to places I've always dreamed of, or simply sitting on the porch and watching the seasons change, this stage of life is brimming with possibilities. There's beauty in knowing that I don't need to accomplish everything at once and that I can take my time and move at my own pace. What makes this chapter uniquely beautiful is the freedom it brings. It's the freedom to say no to things that drain my energy and yes to the people, activities, and passions that bring me joy and peace. It's the courage to live authentically, to be unapologetically myself, and to let go of the fear of judgment. It's the realization that I no longer need to seek approval or validation from anyone else. The pressure to conform, to meet others' expectations, to live up to an external standard, it's all gone, replaced by a quiet assurance that simply being is enough. There's a kind of courage required in this stage of life too. It's not always easy to let go of the roles and identities we've carried for decades. Sometimes, the quiet can feel uncomfortable, even disorienting. But within that stillness lies the opportunity to reconnect with ourselves, to ask the deeper questions. Who am I, beyond the titles and roles? What brings me joy? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? And in answering these questions, I've discovered something profound. This chapter of life is about being, not doing. It's about embracing who I am, flaws and all, and finding contentment in the simplest truths. As I move through this time, I've also come to realize the power of gratitude. Every morning, I wake up with a deep sense of appreciation, not just for the grand blessings of my life, but for the small, ordinary moments that make each day special. The song of a bird outside my window, the feel of cool grass beneath my feet, the warmth of a loved one's hug. These are the treasures that fill my heart. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It reminds me that even amidst life's challenges, there is so much to be thankful for. This chapter is a celebration of life in its purest form. It's a time to embrace the wisdom of the years, cherish the relationships that matter most, and live each day with intention and authenticity. It's about stepping into the fullness of who I am, unburdened by the past and untethered from the expectations of the future. It's about savoring the journey, one precious moment at a time, and finding beauty not just in the milestones but in the quiet, tender moments that often go unnoticed. This is what makes this chapter extraordinary. The freedom, the reflection, the gratitude, and the simplicity. It's a chapter that calls for courage and offers profound peace in return. As I turn each page, I am reminded of this truth. Life is not measured by the years we've lived, but by the depth with which we've loved, the wisdom we've gained, and the joy we've embraced. This, truly, is the beginning of something wonderful. As we bring this heartfelt reflection to a close, take a moment to pause and think about what resonated most with you. Life's chapters may change, but each one holds valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. What have you learned so far from this journey we've shared? We'd love to hear from you. What's one insight from this video that you plan to bring into your own life? Is it the power of gratitude, the beauty of simplicity, or perhaps the courage to live authentically? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your reflections could inspire others on their paths. If you found this video meaningful, please leave your comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content like this. Together, let's continue to embrace the richness of life and all its beautiful chapters. Thank you for watching. Folded hands sparkles.